I've been talking a lot recently about how there appears to be a lowering demand or a decline in demand for physical silver for investment or for stacking, but I've had some coin dealers that say that they have not actually experienced it themselves. That said, even those dealers now are reaching out to me and saying, hey, I'm starting to see it too. And today we're going to find out about that, but we're also going to talk about why that may be and what might be causing that to happen. Could it be because crypto is going up and people are selling their gold and silver to get into crypto? Could it be because they're happier about the economy and less worried about the future? Could it be because people are just so worried about fakes that they don't even want to get in the stacking? So we're going to find out today by speaking with a bullion dealer. And of course, his name is Josh from MyNightCoin and Bullion. And we're going to cover quite a few topics about what's going on in this market. So if you want to hear what Josh has to say and what's going on, make sure you stick with me. But don't forget to like and subscribe and help us continue to grow. We are on our way to 250,000 subscribers, and I'd love for you to be one of them. Are you looking to protect your future with physical gold and silver? SD Bullion's IRA program makes it easy to invest in precious metals while enjoying the tax benefits of an IRA. For more information, go to sdbullion.com/IRA, and thank you to SD Bullion for sponsoring my channel. So welcome back to the channel, Josh, and I wanted to start by talking about silver. Now, it's been holding roughly in that $30 area for quite some time now, and I think people are starting to get used to it being in that range. I know I feel more comfortable with buying silver at 30 than I did, say, a year ago. But how's it been going in your shop? Have people been getting comfortable with it? What have they been saying? Have they been buying more, selling more? What's going on there?
I think for the most part, people are satisfied with where it's at right now. I think those that are holding a lot of silver would like it to be higher, and those that are in the position that are ready to buy more want it to be lower. But I think that's always going to be the case depending on where spot is. But what I've seen in the last couple of weeks, there's been a bit of a shift in my market. I'm starting to finally see what some of the other dealers have been talking about in other parts of the country, where there's days where they're buying more from the public than they're selling to the public. I didn't really experience that back in December, November, when everybody was talking, oh, we have too much inventory. You know, we're buying, 5 or 50 grand a day from the public. We're only selling 10. I hadn't seen that. But the last couple of weeks post Christmas season, I'm starting to see it. And yesterday again was one of those days. So having said that, I've had several quite large sales this month already to big buyers. But that's not the norm. There's also been a lot of big sellers. In fact, if you want to dive into it, I have an interesting seller story that just happened yesterday.
I do, but I didn't even expect to talk about that with you, because last time we had talked about demand, you had said that it's pretty well in your shop. So hearing that you're even starting to experiencing it, guys, I honestly he did not tell me this before the stream. So
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Well, I had a gentleman that lives about 2 hours away. He's bought from me before. He called me early in the day yesterday, wondering if I was buying silver. Of course, my answer is yes. I haven't turned it down yet. So he actually was one of the people, and he specifically told me, and I know we're not a crypto channel here, right? But he said he's going to liquidate some metal to buy more crypto. I said, sure, if you want to drive on in. I'm open till 4 o'clock. So he showed up about an hour before I closed, because as I said, he had a 2-hour drive with a Rubbermaid tote. Pretty good sized tote. And I can see as he comes in, he was with his son. His son opened the door, and he's kind of struggling walking in. So I'm thinking, how many ounces are in here? Sets it down on my desk. He said, yeah, I brought 820 ounces. I said, okay. So we went through it. I verified that everything was there. And as I'm doing it, I noticed there's some, like, the tubes don't look brand new, like they were stored properly in a safe. I said, what happened to these tubes? And I start opening the tubes, and there's a little bit of dirt inside the tubes. He said, oh, I had these buried in my backyard.
Oh, wow.
I said, really? He said, yeah, apparently he goes back and forth between Utah and North Dakota. He works in North Dakota. Home technically is in Utah. He said, before I went back to Utah the last time, I buried all my metal, but we had it sealed in these Rubbermaid totes. I'm surprised dirt got in there. But he actually told me he has 3 other totes buried full of, well, I don't know how full, but with gold and silver buried on his property in North Dakota. And that's how he hides it. And granted, it's winter in North Dakota. For those of you who don't understand, we had air temperatures earlier this week of 30 below zero. We had almost 60 below zero wind chill. So the ground is hard, like rock solid hard. So before he came here, he managed to dig that out and everything was still cold too. It was so unusual. But at the end of the day, they were silver rounds, right? So, I did pay a bit of a discount for them because they were underground
Yeah.
and they were dirty. Some had some unattractive toning to them, but still 820 ounces of silver came in that he had recently unearthed from the ground in North Dakota. That was unusual. That's a new one for me.
Yeah. Wow.
Weird.
I wonder, you said he has 3 other totes, and I'm not even going to try and, figure out the logistics behind that, like how much work that would take. But I wonder how many other people do that. You know what I mean? How many people bury it? I can tell you a story. I know a guy who has a lot of gold, and I don't know how much gold, but I know he has a lot of gold. And he lives on a piece of property, and he drives an old beat up pickup truck, and he dresses in rags. Like he looks like, someone you would expect to be homeless. And he has like a lot of gold. And I know that because every time he needs money, he does it like once or twice a year. He'll take 5 or 10 ounces and he'll go to a coin shop and he'll sell that gold. And that's what's going to get him by for the next year. It's just him and his dog on a large piece of land. And he looks poor, but he has, I don't know how much, but enough that he takes 5 to 10 ounces out every single year. You know what I mean? So it's like, what happens when, that person passes? He doesn't have any family. He doesn't tell anyone where it is. You know what I mean? He doesn't tell me where it is, and we're good friends. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
I need to work on that.
Right. Yeah. It's like, hey, but anyway.
But yeah, there's people like that too. And
right.
Yeah, I see that as well. There's people that come in here that look like they maybe don't have a dollar to their name, but they're making big purchases. So, it's just to each their own.
Yeah, good for them. Like I have no problem with that. There's people don't, there's a lot of people that don't care about wealth. He just wants to get by and enjoy the rest of his life with his dog. So good for him. That's awesome. I like to hear it. I just wonder what happens to all of that afterwards. That's it's always what I think about when I'm talking to him is like, what are you going to do with all that gold? What's going to happen with it all? Maybe it'll all be gone by the time he does. I don't know. So Josh, another thing I wanted to bring up, obviously, you're witnessing that decline in your shop. Have you had any sort of increase? Because obviously spot price has gone up, right? So we've had silver, as we just talked about, over 30. We have gold, kind of creeping up again as well. Have you noticed like an extra influx of like maybe some fakes coming in? Because I know as silver and gold get higher, the I guess the aura, or what do you want to call it, the people that are making fakes, they're getting more reason to make it. My vocabulary is kind of gone right now, but you know what I'm saying. Have you had any more issues?
Yeah, this week alone, I had 2 different groups of fakes come in the shop, and that's not typical. I've accumulated a lot of fakes over the years in the shop. I don't always get the opportunity to keep or even buy fakes from my customers, but I had 2 instances this week where I was able to, well, both times the fakes were given to me. Sometimes people are so distraught and upset, I offered just to buy them for a small amount of money to get them off the streets. But I was able to get them. They donated them to me. But I had fake Morgan silver dollars on 2 separate occasions come in. And I also had fake American silver eagles come in. And I have a few things in front of me here. I mean, we get fake gold bars and we get fake proof silver eagles.
Wait, so those are fakes?
Yeah, all of these here.
That gold bar is a fake. Can you maybe send me like a video or something showing that up even more up close for people watching?
Yeah, and the packaging looks pretty good. It's Perth mint. The packaging looks right. The giveaway for me, the bar is a little bit thick, but if you don't deal with these a lot, you're not going to know that. But yeah, there has been an influx in fakes, and I didn't get the sense in either occasion that the person that owned them had any idea that they had fakes. One example in particular, there was one person that brought in like all of his silver. I think it was about 30 grand that I purchased from him. And he had got it from all sorts of different sources. He was kind of the go-to guy when his friends or his work buddies needed cash. They know, hey, Jim Bob Joe over here, he'll buy your silver. So he was always the guy buying silver from this guy and that guy, and not necessarily from bullion sites or reputable coin shops. So with that, he ended up with some fakes because he didn't know what he was looking for.
Yeah.
So, and, he was, a little upset, but there again, most of the silver he purchased, he bought from buddies and probably got a good deal on it. So I know he came out ahead in the whole deal, but, fakes are still out there. Are they becoming more prevalent? Well, in my area lately, they have been. And I don't know if it's because of an uptick in spot price or it's just dumb luck, but I have noticed that. It is interesting.
Well, I don't know if I'd call it luck, but I get what you mean though.
Well,
Like,
some misfortune maybe.
well, it's I was looking on these websites like AliExpress and Temu are getting more popular as time goes on. It's basically just a bunch of crap that's not worth ordering, and you're just throwing your money away. But they sell. I mean, I showed in the video the other day. And in fact, I'll link that video down below if you guys haven't seen it. For some reason, YouTube didn't recommend it to anybody. But I talked about in the video the other day how, you can go on AliExpress, or I'm sorry, not AliExpress, although probably them as well. But the one I showed was Temu. And you can order like whole lots, like whole collections of Morgan silver dollars for like a couple of bucks, like stacks of silver eagles, generic rounds, silver bars. They were making their way into, I did a video talking about how Walmart has, and it's not Walmart selling it. I need to be very clear. And no, I did not get reached out by Walmart's legal department for making that video, I promise. But just to be very clear, it's not Walmart selling them themselves, but the third-party retailers that they allow to sell in their sites that they don't vet, that just like, oh yeah, go ahead, sell whatever you want, and then they list these fake bars, and people can order them. And I know that some of these people ordering them know they're fake, and they're just using it to do what you just talked about, to scam their friends, or maybe even try and scam a coin shop. I have no idea, but it's really unfortunate. But even worse, although I don't know if I should say even worse, but I should say just as bad is the people that are buying them from those sites thinking that, they're real. It's unfortunate. It blows my mind. And I'm sure you have stories. In fact, I would love to hear if you want to share like a warning or a story with the viewers about fakes, maybe something, that it'll open their eyes. I'd love to hear your story. And I know I'm talking a lot here, but it blows my mind to even think about how many people have fakes sitting in their safes right now, and they don't even know.
You're 100% right. 100% right. It's the people that are maybe just starting out that don't have any type of knowledge, but they know they want to buy metal. And they don't maybe have a local coin shop nearby. Well, what's the obvious choice? Well, I'm going to go online. When you go online, what are you doing? You're usually, if you don't know what you're after, you're going to gravitate towards the cheapest price. And these fakes usually sell for a little bit less, than an authentic one will. So you think, wow, well, that is a pretty good deal, but it's not such a good deal where it's a red flag necessarily for people. It happens all the time. And this last, it was actually yesterday, I had a gentleman come in. He sold me some legitimate coins, but he also had a little satchel of 5 that appeared to be uncirculated Morgan silver dollars. And it was the last thing he pulled out. And I poured them out on my tray, and I looked at them, and I'm holding them up, and I said, oh, where'd you get these? Oh, I ordered them online about 10 years ago. I said, okay, we'll get to those at the end. So I set them off to the side, went over all the other stuff with them. I had I had already known they were fakes. They weren't terrible fakes. And I can give you pictures of these as well. But first test I did once I got around to them was I weighed them, right? They weren't magnetic. So, I found out later, but I weighed them and they were 4 grams too light. So, obviously, gee, these are fake, but they were pretty good fake uncirculated Morgans. And he was pretty distraught. And I said, well, what do you want to do with these? He said, oh gosh, well, I bought them about 10 years ago. I said, do you have any recourse? Do you have any receipts? He said, oh, I can maybe contact the company. I said, well, you can sure try, but chances are that company doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
They were probably gone 9 years ago or 9.5 years ago if you bought them 10 years ago. So that's the trouble with buying online. These companies come and go. They're fly by night. The same company might exist, but under a new website address. So, I see people probably monthly on average bringing in fake either silver dollars or American silver eagles. Those are the 2 most common ones. And most of the time, the story is, hey, yeah, I bought these online and, it was buy 9, get 1 free. And I only paid $15 each. And it's like, yeah, I hate to tell you, but they're fake. And, if you need any help from me, I'll do what I can to give you the information and you can try to fight and get your money back. Sometimes they do, because they come back in and tell me, hey, thanks, that worked. I got a refund. Other times I never hear back from people. So you never know. Maybe they're just out the money.
Yeah.
So I guess buyer beware. You've preached on it. I've preached on it. Know who you're buying from. I think that's the most important thing. Get a trusted relationship with the local coin shop or buy from a trusted online dealer. Try to stay away from these Facebook ads and Temu and AliExpress and Wish and all those other Chinese websites that are selling fake everything.
Well, I'm confident that I'm confident that the people that are buying from Temu and AliExpress are buying them with ill intent. Or all right, I'd say most of them. Maybe there is because I hear people comment on the channel that say, I buy these fakes and I put them in my safe. That way, if someone breaks in, they go for that and they don't know where I actually keep the real stuff. But I think the majority of them have illegitimate, reasons for buying them. You know what I mean? But let me ask you this really quick. You talk about the people coming in that, you are able to buy those fake ones for a little bit of money just to get them off of the street, or they just donate them to you. Do you ever get accused by anybody of saying, "Oh, you're trying to rip me off, telling me it's fake so you can get it for nothing"? Do you ever have that happen?
It happened once.
Okay.
It happened one time. And I feel bad for the gentleman. He was a generation older than me, to give you an idea of his age. But he had come in with a dozen, it was about a dozen US gold coins, and they were all certified. They were mixtures of American Silver Eagles and then pre-33 gold. Okay. And spread them all out. Right away, I identify one where the holder, I believe it was a PCGS holder, didn't look right. Like the font was off, right? Something, okay, I already see that one of these isn't a fake holder. So that's the one I actually started with. And I brought up my machine, didn't say much, casually, "Hey, where'd you get these from?" And he said he bought them all locally from a coin shop in Minot, not me, but over the course of like 20 years. There was a shop in town previous to me. Put it on my Sigma Metalytics, showed him that it tested fake, and he was extremely upset. He did not believe me. I offered even to go. I said, "But I can go through all these other coins." And he said, "Well, if you're not going to buy this one, you're not going to buy any of them." And I hadn't even made an offer to buy the fake, but I told him that it's fake. He was extremely upset, called me a liar, called me some other names, snatched up his coins, stormed out. I never saw him again. So I didn't even get to give him prices or check his other, 10 or 12 coins, whatever it was. But I maybe should have did the fake one last.
Yeah.
But it was obviously fake. And he says, "Well, I bought that 10 years ago from," and I said, "Well, fakes existed then too." And I'm not saying the shop intentionally sold you a fake either, but it is fake. I mean, I could tell by looking, and my machine confirms that. And he just did not want to hear it. I was the most awful person in his mind, and I was trying to screw him and stormed out. But yeah, it's happened to me once, where people are just fly off the handle, upset, like I'm the bad guy and I'm trying to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
So that's just what you got to deal with sometimes when you deal with the public.
Oh yeah, I bet. It's funny you had talked about how, well, I bought it 10 years ago. It's funny how many people, I see this all the time, especially talking to dealers at coin shows, how people believe that just because something is old means that it's real, or because
Right.
something's old means that it's valuable. And I tell people all the time, well, a 1913 wheat cent isn't really worth a whole lot, but a 1914D is, even though it's newer. So it's not the age of a coin that makes it valuable. You know what I mean? And they just kind of don't get that through their head. But I mean, as far as fakes go, I mean, they were making fakes decades ago. There was fake sterling silverware back in the 50s and 60s. People wanted to have their dinner parties and it was the fancy thing. Not everyone could afford the real silver. So there were fake silverware sets that were not marked as plated so that they could, fool their friends. Right. It's unfortunate, but it's true that it was happening back then. I'll ask you this, Josh. I had said that I believe that most of the people buying from like AliExpress and from Temu know it's fake. But you know what worries me, and I'd love to get your opinion here. And then also, tell people in the chat, just give them a direct message that are watching at this point. Just say, look, do this to avoid this. But I know that the majority of people buying from Temu and AliExpress probably know they're fake, but I worry about the people buying from eBay and Walmart, because those are looked at as legitimate retailers. You know what I mean? So they trust Walmart. And granted, it's sold by a third party and not sold by Walmart, but they go to walmart.com and they trust that what they're buying from walmart.com is real. And I worry more about that than I do, the people buying from Ali and Temu, other than, using it to scam. Do you have any advice or a warning or anything for people about stuff like that?
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. Don't buy your coins from Chinese websites.
Yeah.
And if you're going to purchase from an online retailer like eBay, make sure they have exceptional feedback. 100% is ideal, of course, but a high number of feedback. I'm in a privately vetted dealer group, and I pay to be part of it, $900 a year, but it's over 1,000 dealers across the country, and we kind of look out for each other, help each other, sell excess inventory. Hey, I'm looking for this, find me this type thing. But within that group, there's a massive, massive eBay block list of people that have had just what you've said, either a nefarious seller or a nefarious buyer on eBay. eBay is not 100% safe for anybody. And I'm not trying to scare anybody away from eBay. I don't sell on eBay anymore, and I don't buy on eBay anymore. It's not because I've had bad experiences. It's just I have other avenues to buy and sell now. But eBay can be a dangerous place if you don't know what you're doing. There are fakes that are being sold on eBay every day to unsuspecting people. I've had customers that have come in here that have fakes, and they tell me, "Oh, I bought them on eBay." In their mind, that was a trusted source, to your point. Same with the people that, bought the fake silver off the Canadian Walmart site. I mean, same type of thing. So I guess my advice is do your due diligence, and I already said earlier, buy from trusted sources. And eBay, there are trusted sources on eBay, but you got to look for them. They're not all great. eBay doesn't vet the sellers per se. So yeah, I would just, it's the old adage, buyer beware. I hate to say that, but I mean, that's the honest truth. Buyer beware. You need to pay attention.
Fair enough. So yeah. Josh, I want to ask you one more question on this topic, and then we're going to get off of here, because the video is getting kind of long, and I know people don't like the really long videos, but do you feel, and this is a personal feeling, do you feel like the abundance and the penetration of fakes in this market, especially in the last 5 to 10 years with silver and gold going up, do you think it's starting to affect people's trust in getting into it at all? Is it having an effect?
I think it definitely could. Absolutely. Fakes have been around for a long time, as we've already said, but to your point, they're getting better. Those that are making fakes are doing a better job at faking the products and faking, the packaging like here. But yeah, I definitely think so. If I didn't know what I was doing, let's just say, I want to start collecting, fishing poles. I don't know what a good one is and what a bad one is. And there's probably fake fishing rods and reels for all I know. China fakes just about anything, right? So would I be a little hesitant to get into the market not knowing what the heck I'm buying because I know it's flooded with fakes? Absolutely. You can apply that to anything that you might want to collect or stack or invest in. So it is a detriment. Is it going to ultimately turn people off from investing in metal? No. Or collecting coins? No. I mean, there's always going to be that segment out there, I believe, but it definitely could deter beginners, which is unfortunate. And that's why, getting back to our point, it's so important to find a trusted source, right? So, and then you can, even if you don't necessarily buy from them, you can bounce things off them. Hey, I was thinking to buy this. And I have people do that with me. Hey, I had somebody offer me this. I live in Tennessee. Here's a picture of it. What do you think? And, well, it's hard to tell by pictures, but yeah, based on photos, it's legit, but do this test and this test to make sure before you buy it type thing. So, having people that understand the industry that you can go to is a big plus, to kind of help you vet what you're buying, even if you're not buying from that person you're asking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh. Well, I think that's plenty for today. I really appreciate you joining us, guys. As you know, Josh has his own coin shop, Minot Coin and Bullion of Minot, North Dakota. He also has a YouTube channel. I'm going to put a link for that in the description, so make sure you go over there and give him a sub. Other than that, Josh, we will have you on here in a couple of weeks again, if you're okay with it.
Absolutely. Sounds great.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.